You are here with us. My name is Carrie McClellan. I'm the Outreach Manager for ElderHelp, and I will be facilitating today's webinar on the topic of HomeShare, a unique housing solution. And we're excited to share this topic with all of you. Before we begin, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you do have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to type them in. It should say questions, or it might say chat, or it might be a combination of the two, just depending on your platform that you're using and your screen. But you're welcome to type those in as we go along, and we will respond to all questions at the end of the presentation. So don't wait. If you have a question burning, just feel free to type that in, and we'll get to that at the very end. All right, so before I introduce our speakers for today, I want to just share briefly about ElderHelp and why we do these webinars. So our mission at ElderHelp is to provide personalized services and information to help seniors remain independent and live with dignity in their own homes. We are celebrating over 49 years of supporting seniors and the San Diego community, and along with those seniors come family members who might reach out to us for a variety of reasons to access support as well. So we're excited to be able to share more about what we do with you all today. Briefly, our core services that we provide, we offer information and referral, so anybody can call us and get access to resources, whether it's through ElderHelp's programs or through other community organizations. We're happy to point you in the right direction. We also offer check-in calls that are called Are You Okay? So we can make sure that individuals who might live on their own are able to have somebody checking in and making sure that they're doing all right, and if they need any additional support, we can offer that. Our Seniors A Go-Go program offers transportation, so people can access their medical appointments and other destinations. Our Care Coordination program provides care coordination services through social workers who can assess individual needs and provide advocacy and resources as things might change over time, in addition to a variety of volunteer support, including grocery shopping, friendly visits, minor home repairs, etc. Our nutrition services offer pantry deliveries to clients who might need additional food support, so we want to make sure that they have adequate food and nutrition. We also offer our family caregiver support that I'll mention in just a moment, and housing services that you'll hear a lot more about today. So our family caregiver support program is really where these webinars have been developed and have come through. We want to bring different topics to individuals who might be caring for an aging loved one at any stage. This webinar today is really relevant for anybody. But if you are a family caregiver, the information might be helpful for yourself or for your loved one. We do record all of the webinars, and they're available on our website on our family caregiver page. So you can access different topics that maybe you haven't attended live. You can check out the library on that page, and you can watch them at any time. We've also created online courses that are available on that same page so that you can really put together a good plan for if you are caring for a loved one and knowing what might come in the future. We can plan ahead. You can look at who can be part of your care team and really develop the best plan moving forward for your loved one. We are fortunate we partner with some great organizations in the San Diego community, and Alzheimer's San Diego and Southern Caregiver Resource Center are a couple of those that we collaborate with to reach more family caregivers in the area. And that brings me to today's topic. So again, I shared that this topic is really relevant for anybody. So we're excited that you're here and want to learn more. And if you know somebody who wasn't able to attend today that might benefit from the information, please feel free to share it with them as well. So I have the great pleasure of introducing two of my fellow co-workers here at ElderHelp, and it's really an honor to do so. Robin Strickland. So Robin graduated from, I'm gonna not say this name correctly, maybe Robin, Quinnipiac?
Yeah.
Quinnipiac, okay, University with her bachelor's degree in sociology. And during her time in college, her passion for wanting to help underserved populations was discovered. Since then, Robin has spent the past 12 years working in the human service field, most of that time working in the housing sector. Originally from Connecticut, Robin moved to San Diego in 2017 and joined ElderHelp as a housing services coordinator. In 2019, Robin was promoted to housing services manager and now oversees ElderHelp's HomeShare program, residential services, as well as housing navigation. Robin is currently pursuing her Master's of Social Work from Florida State University, and we are so glad that she is part of our team. And now Alyssa. So Alyssa has over 22 years of experience working with older adults in San Diego. Prior to ElderHelp, she worked with another local nonprofit as an activities manager running a senior center program. She holds a bachelor's degree in recreation and leisure studies from California State University, Long Beach, as well as a certificate of gerontology from San Diego State University, which she received in 2012. In addition, she has been on the Senior Affairs Advisory Board for the City of San Diego Mayor's Office for 2 terms. Alyssa has been at ElderHelp for nearly 3 years now as a housing services coordinator, working with HomeShare, assisting with ElderHelp's rent relief efforts and representing ElderHelp as a participant at several community organizations. So as you can see, both of these wonderful individuals are definitely dedicated to improving the lives of older adults in our community, and I'm so happy to have them here with us today. So welcome. All right, and Robin, I am going to pass it off to you to begin the presentation on HomeShare.
Sounds good. Welcome, everyone. So I just wanted to review our agenda. So today we'll talk a little bit about our housing challenges and solutions, along with kind of an explanation of what shared housing is, a bit of a deep dive into ElderHelp's HomeShare program, some of the benefits of shared housing, and we'll go through some HomeShare stories and examples as well. Next slide, please. So just kind of to take a look at San Diego seniors and their income. So 23% of seniors do not have enough income to meet their basic needs. A little over 55% of San Diego seniors are renters, and the average rent seniors pay is $1,622 a month. 25% of seniors rely on Social Security as their only source of income, and the average amount they receive is $1,496 a month. So just by looking at how much folks are receiving versus how much rent there is, you can see that most seniors, or a lot of seniors, are already priced out of the market, making housing very difficult for them. Next slide, please. So for ElderHelp's kind of our housing challenges and ElderHelp's solutions. So housing instability is a growing concern for older adults, but for everyone of all ages. 1 in 5 seniors age 55 and older are experiencing homelessness or are at risk of homelessness. And that number, unfortunately, is expected to continue to grow as time goes on. 90% of seniors state that they would like to age in place. Knowing all of this, ElderHelp has been able to help create some solutions to these issues. Our first one is our housing navigation program, where we work with folks on, we do short-term case management for 3 to 6 months to help them link to any resources they may need and help them attain and sustain housing. We also have our residential services, where we are in 2 different low-income senior buildings, where we provide groups and activities and one-on-one meetings with residents to, again, help them link to any resources they may need so that they can be successful and thrive in their housing. And lastly, we have our HomeShare program, which we will go into in a little more depth here. Next slide, please. So shared housing, what is it? What it is it involves 2 or more people sharing a dwelling to meet economical independence and social needs. Each party has a private bedroom with either a private bathroom and access to the common areas in the home, such as the kitchen. So for ElderHelp's program, in order to be someone who's renting out a room, the seeker, the homeowner or the home renter has to have a separate room that the person can rent that is all of their own. And then everything else can be shared. Next slide, please. So ElderHelp's home sharing program is a roommate matching service that we have. So we help to facilitate matches, providing support throughout the entire process. So from before people even apply to questions they may have about the program, we're there to answer those. We can help with application, from interest lists to enrollment, and then we stay involved throughout the entire time of the match. So at minimum, we do quarterly check-in calls with folks. So we'll just call to see how things are going and make sure their match is going well. We're available to do home visits, and we're also available for any conflict resolution that the match may need. Next slide, please. So our participants, so HomeShare is unique to ElderHelp because it is our only program that serves folks 18 and over. With that being said, within each match, at least one person has to be a senior of the age 60 or over. We call our, some lingo for you all, our home providers are individuals who have a spare room in their home, so in their apartment or their house. And our home seekers are individuals who are seeking or looking for a room to move into. Next slide, please. So types of home, this is also a really good thing to go over. A lot of folks think that they can only be home providers if they own their own single family home, but that is not the case. People can be renters, they can be in an apartment, a condo, a manufactured home, or they could have an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, on their property that we can match them with someone to move in there. If they are a renter, we do ask that they have permission from their landlord that they can have another person move into the space with them. But again, they do not have to be owners of their own home in order to participate. Next slide, please. I think I'm going to toss it over to Alyssa now.
Hi, thank you very much. So this is a little slide about how it works, how HomeShare works. The match agreement options, there are several different choices that a person can opt for. The first one is called a rental exchange, and that actually is just where the provider receives straight rent for the match. So the seeker and the provider do arrange just a rental amount. We do try to keep the rental amount smaller. I would say probably $1,000 or less, depending on the area of town and also depending on the size of the room. And I think for the rental exchange, probably the median number is probably around 600 to 700. The second option would be a service exchange, and that would be for an extremely lowered amount of rent, up to 20 hours a week of service. That would be, and sometimes people do also opt to forego the actual amount for rent in lieu of more help in the home. So we do kind of put the marker at 20 hours a week. Those could be items including things like transportation, doing errands. It could also be handyman, perhaps helping prepare meals, doing laundry. And then the third option is a combination of reduced rent with some services exchanged. So an example of that would be perhaps a person is visually impaired and maybe they need help going through their mail, and maybe they only need about 5 hours a week of something like that, or maybe they need help just doing changing their bed or doing a little bit of laundry. And then what they would do is they would pay rent, and then they would do a certain amount of hours, a lowered amount of hours, somewhere around, I would say, 5 to 10 hours a week. So thank you. Next slide. Okay, so the rental exchange, I did explain a little bit about that. I'm sorry, I kind of jumped the gun on that. So the rental exchange, this person will actually pay for the private living space and access to the shared areas in the home. And we try to have people have more stable housing. So even though it is on a month-to-month basis, the actual goal is for someone to have stable housing and that the rents are at farm market value or less. We seem to find that the people that are looking for the homes, the seekers, they have instabilities in their own housing situations and certainly appreciate a little bit lowered amount of rent. Next slide, please. Okay, and then the service exchange, which I explained, it's a variety of things, including transportation, laundry, like housekeeping, meals, companionship, errands, and the tasks and service hours are agreed upon best before move-in. So this is something that we assist with the process of talking about what things are allowed within the scope of having a service exchange, and also the importance that those things go on what is called our match agreement. So these would all be settled before the person moves in, the seeker moves in. So, and then there's a little note at the bottom there, which I really would like to stress, is that we want to make sure that there are no caregiving things given. So for instance, a person could not assist someone with dressing them, toileting, helping them in and out of the shower, transferring them, dispensing of medications. These would all be considered personal care, and our program does not allow caregiving within the scope of our program. But the nice part is we have a lot of other things that they can help with. Next slide, please. And then the vetting process, we have a wonderful opportunity now, much easier access to do our application. It is now online. However, if someone does need assistance, a person like myself could help with the application, doing it on the phone. We also have the opportunity to send that application to someone like a paper application if someone would rather fill it out that way. But the nice part is it's actually on our ElderHelp website now. So secondly, we have interviews and references. So we do interview all of the providers for this program. And then we also, the seekers that we would be matching with the providers would also be interviewed, of course. We do ask for references, and that would also be references, personal references we ask for, as well as a medical reference from their medical doctor to see if they would be a good candidate for the program. And then we try to match people based on their preferences. So a very outgoing person might want another outgoing person, or someone might just want to rent their room and really not a lot of socialization. So we try and integrate those options and those opportunities for people, so we best try and match personalities, interests, and opportunities for both parties, both the seeker and the provider. One nice thing about our program that I think a lot of people do value as well is we do suggest a trial period before they actually sign the match agreement. So that could be a trial time after they've talked to the provider and the seeker have already talked on the phone, and then they've met perhaps at an outside place, and then they've been invited into the home, and they say, gee, I think we'd really get along. What we do is we encourage what's called a trial period, and we have a short paper for that we have both parties sign. And it could be something like a weekend or a week where both the seeker and the provider kind of try out their opportunity as far as the HomeShare. And then finally, we do our match agreement, and our match agreement is the actual match saying what type of rent this person will be paying, It will also include things if there is a service exchange, if they're going to be helping around the home. It elaborates about what types of things are actually going to be helped with. So if the person wants, 5 hours of light housekeeping and meal preparation, that is enumerated in the match agreement. So everything is listed, and I think it's a nice way to make sure that both parties do sign it, and then both parties have a good understanding of what's expected, and then also what opportunities are available for the both of them together. And then the final thing is that we are very proud that we now on our website, we have listings. Our listings of the actual providers, spaces, and homes are listed on our website, and it will show the area of town, and it will show a couple pictures of the room, which is nice as well, the kitchen and common areas as well. So next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn it back to Robin. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Did you want
Alyssa.
to do that one, Bob? I'm sorry.
No, I could take it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So just to review some of the benefits of shared housing for the home provider. So it does help with decreased isolation and loneliness. It helps with companionship, increased social support. Most often we get home providers who really are looking for that service. They might want someone to have dinner with at night, or watch Jeopardy with, or someone to drink coffee with in the morning. And that's such an important piece of HomeShare for folks. For the home providers, it also helps with economic stability, shared expenses, help around the house, and just peace of mind knowing that someone else is in the home. Next slide, please. And for seekers, the benefits is secured housing. As Alyssa said, many seekers are folks who are looking for an affordable housing option based upon what their income is versus the cost of living in San Diego. So for a lot of folks, home sharing is a great option to fit within their budget. Also, the home seeker additionally gets companionship and also access to transportation, healthcare, community, employment, school, economic stability, shared expenses, and more attainable rent. So it really is a mutually beneficial program that again helps out both the home seeker and home provider. Next slide, please. So for our service area, our program is funded by the San Diego Housing Commission, and we serve the city of San Diego. We are also funded by the cities of Vista and Poway. So for providers, we prioritize those 3 areas. However, we do accept providers from outside those areas. Because we want to be good stewards of our contracts, we always make sure that we serve the folks who have contacted us within our service areas. And once that's done, we realize what a need housing is. We really don't want to turn away a home provider. So we'll keep them on a list, and then we'll revisit with them when we have the time to see if we can enroll them in the program. And then we also accept applicants for seekers from anywhere within San Diego County. Next slide, please. So again, we are a long-term solution. ElderHelp is not an emergency housing solution. We do strive to provide stable housing. Our longest match is 16 years and counting. So we're very proud of that. And our average match length is 6 years. The national shared housing average match length is actually 2 years. So our matches last 3 times longer than other programs. And we really credit that to a lot of the work we put in up front, helping to explain the program to both providers and seekers, helping to understand their needs, and helping to match them with folks who will be compatible with them so that they will want to remain in the housing together. Next slide, please. So what our clients report, 89% feel their quality of life is better because of the HomeShare program. 83% feel more financially secure, and 94% believe they are more likely to remain independent. These stats are something we track throughout the year and throughout the matches. So when we do our quarterly calls, we ask about these things. So we're always able to get more real-time data about how folks are feeling about the program, how they're feeling in their matches, to make sure we're really tied in and understanding what the benefits are of home sharing. Next slide, please. I think I'm going to hand this back off to Carrie.
Yes, thank you so much. So now that you've heard about the program, how it works, the enrollment process, what all we do, we thought it would be helpful to share a couple of examples of home share matches so that you can have a good understanding of real people in real time and what makes it work. And while I do that, just so you see on the slide, on average, the seniors through ElderHelp are moving into long-term care options when they're about 10 years older than other seniors. So just again, going on the preventative side of things, doing that work up front, making sure that we are looking at all of the different ways that we can support seniors in general, to make sure that they are staying in their homes for as long as possible, which is where they want to be, really does go through all of our programs, and HomeShare is one of those. All right, so I'm going to share one story with you about Walt and Veronica. So at first glance, you'd think that Walt and Veronica were far too different to ever consider living together. They came from different backgrounds, different generations, and entirely different lifestyles. Walt, a very soft-spoken 80-year-old retired gentleman, first learned about ElderHelp when his son Dustin requested information on how the HomeShare program works. Walt's wife of over 50 years had recently passed away, and Dustin was worried about his father living alone. Although Walt had family and friends who provided him with emotional support, most of these individuals lived out of state. So Walt still couldn't help but feel extremely lonely while living in his large 3-bedroom home all by himself. Also, his ongoing trouble with cataracts led Walt to give up his driver's license, and he soon began to feel somewhat homebound and isolated from the rest of the world. Since he didn't have anyone around to assist him with driving errands or other day-to-day chores, Walt found himself in search of a helpful housemate who would be willing to offer their assistance in exchange for a room. Walt found his match in a 54-year-old extroverted woman, Veronica, who sought out the HomeShare program because her income greatly limited her housing options. She needed to find a new place to live and was referred to Walt to determine whether or not they would be a good fit for one another. Although there was some initial doubt regarding their compatibility, Walt and Veronica got along very well from the moment they met. Even Walt's incredibly selective cat seemed to immediately bond with Veronica, which caused his son Dustin to say, "Oh, Dad, Veronica is a keeper." Their vast differences in lifestyles, preferred television programs, music styles, etc., only seemed to make for good conversation between the two, and they quickly came to the decision to live together. After discussing all of the terms and provisions of their arrangement, the pair concluded that Veronica would move into the home and help Walt with certain chores and household duties as needed in exchange for a lower cost private bedroom and bathroom in his home. And it worked. Vivian finally had an affordable place to live where she could feel comfortable and appreciated for the assistance she provided to her housemate. And also her outgoing and social nature motivated Walt to become more active and to get out of the house more, which has boosted his morale and overall well-being. So that's just one of the stories. And Alyssa will share the second one.
Hi. This one is about the benefits of home sharing from the provider's perspective. Rhonda enjoyed painting and became even more passionate about it later in life. However, life began to change when she was diagnosed with macular degeneration and was losing her eyesight. It was a gradual process, but Rhonda did not give up. She eventually had to use high-intensity light, and she continued to paint well into her 80s. During the progression, Rhonda contacted ElderHelp's HomeShare program because she couldn't drive anymore, and she needed help maintaining her large home. At first, she offered a free rent room in exchange for help around the house and transportation assistance. Later, she requested a second housemate to rent another spare bedroom for extra income, and she continued this until she passed away 10 years later. Rhonda's housemates loved living with her. Her paintings were displayed throughout her house, reflecting her warmth and passion. Through perseverance and resourcefulness, Rhonda never gave up on her dream. Towards the end of her life, HomeShare provided this means to stay in her home, and she loved being in her home and the ability to continue with her passion of painting. Thank you.
Thanks,
I'll send it back
Alyssa.
to Carrie.
All right, and Robin's going to share some additional resources.
Yeah, so we are part of the ElderHelp is part of the National Shared Housing Resource Center, which is made up of all the a variety of home sharing programs throughout the United States. Their link is below if you are interested in taking a look at some of the other programs. And then also there's the Shared Housing Institute, which can help educate folks on what shared housing is. ElderHelp also participates in a West Coast home sharing meeting. So all of the other home share programs in California are invited to come once a month, where we talk about best practices, concerns through the program, successes, kind of innovative things that other programs are doing, so that we can all work together and learn from each other to really make the best program possible that can support the most folks, so that they can be successful in their housing. And I think I'm going to toss it back to Carrie now.
Yes, thank you. Thank you both, Robin and Alyssa, so much for sharing more about our program and housing in general and some of those solutions. So now you've had a chance to hear more about how it works. I would also like to say that there is a lot of information on our website. So if you still have questions or have somebody in mind that could benefit from the program potentially, we've really updated a lot of the information on our website, and it has a great deal of detail about the program for both sides, so that you can take a look at that. I am going to go through the questions. We had a couple questions come in, so feel free, again, if you do have something that wasn't addressed, you are welcome to let us know. Looks like there's more coming in. Hold on. Let's see. So I know one, while I look for the others, the one question came up about how we handle memory impairment. So I don't know who wants to address or answer that question.
Yeah, I can take that one. So it depends. Part of our check is about part of our enrollment process is a medical check, where the doctor will be able to kind of speak to that a little bit more, so that we can have a professional opinion on it. If it's very mild, then home sharing is a good option, but the more memory impairment progresses, the harder it becomes to have stable living for both folks. So again, we kind of look at it on a case-by-case basis. And the other really nice thing about HomeShare being within ElderHelp is that we have a variety of programs that we can offer to help support the person to keep them in their home for as long as possible. So as it progresses, we may want to wrap other services around the person, like Seniors at GoGo, our transportation program, perhaps our food program, our care coordination, so that we can make sure we're really identifying and meeting all the needs that folks have. So yeah, I hope that answered the questions.
And then also, as far as I think it's important that the person be able to advocate for themselves, because during the process, there is phone communication, in-person communication. And so both parties, really both the provider and the seeker, need to really be able to make decisions about that other person, about compatibility and other mutually agreed upon either services or arrangements. So I think as far as the cognition, it's really important that they're able to advocate for themselves. And we are happy to have a family member kind of initially involved with the process. However, that person still needs to be able to cognitively be able to advocate for themselves in order to move forward and participate. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good point. Thank you both. And so the next question is asking about how the program manages changes with one of the partners for like providers or seekers if there needs to be a change. And the other part of that question is, does the month-to-month actually work?
Yeah, so most of our, sorry, I heard a little bit of feedback there. Most of our providers and seekers actually enter into longer term agreements. We're open to discuss and kind of meet the needs of folks where they are, but for the most part, people will enter into at least a year-long agreement and then kind of go from there. And again, we do monitor all of the matches with at least quarterly check-ins, and like they all know that they can call us at any time in between those to chat about changes and things like that. If there is a change that occurs that's going on, you know, again, if it's something that involves conflict resolution, we can go in the home and do that. Or if there's a different change going on, saying the provider maybe wants to increase rent, the seeker wants to decrease hours, anything like that, we can come in the home to help facilitate that and make sure that both parties are heard and that the changes are able to be implemented.
Thank you.
Sometimes a seeker may call me, like myself, they may call one of the HomeShare coordinators and just say, I'm concerned about my provider, or I have some concerns. And then that way, one of the HomeShare coordinators can reach out to that person and see what's going on, and also refer them for additional care. Sometimes we do get the family members involved too. And sometimes we even, if someone ends up moving out, we do try to move the seeker if they were in an opportunity where the provider perhaps had to go into assisted living or needed some other type of care. We try to find a new housing arrangement for them through our HomeShare as well. So it's, the nice part is it's a coordinated effort on all parts.
Most definitely. And one question came in, but I think we might have answered that one. There can be more than one seeker within a provider's home. So just to answer that one again, that is possible. Some people have a couple of different spare rooms in their home, and that's definitely an option. And then the next question is coming in about the age of participants. So they understand that the program is available to adults 18 and older, but they're asking what the minimum age would be for at least one of the parties.
Yeah, so it is open to adult 18 and over. Right now, all of our home providers are only accepting a single person at the moment. So we're constantly kind of looking at what the home provider is open to. So we have had some folks contact us who's like a mother and a young child. And unfortunately, we're not able to serve those folks right now, only because we don't have any home providers who are willing to take in a mother and a young child. Again, we're constantly reassessing that and taking a look at it, but we kind of have to go by what the home provider states that they want. So yeah, it's 18 and over, but one person in the match has to be the age of 8 or over.
Thank you. And the next question is talking about sharing the expenses. So it's about the living expenses. Are utilities and internet, etc., split between the provider and seeker, or is it on a case-by-case basis?
It's on a case-by-case basis. So really the provider can let us know what they're looking for in terms of rent and utilities, and we make sure we have those discussions with them. We make sure that those discussions happen between the home provider and the home seeker when they're meeting, and we also make sure those are outlined and discussed in the match agreement. so that everyone is really clear about what the expectations are.
And I noticed as far as a trend that more and more of the providers are asking for a percentage of the utilities because utility prices are going up. And that does seem to be a trend where they are asking for 10%, 20%, sometimes a third of that. And then some of the providers do not have internet or cable. And so a lot of the providers will say if the seeker wants to get that, they can at their own expense. But it's definitely part of the match agreement, the paperwork as well.
Wonderful, thank you. The next question is about the vetting process. So they're just wanting to confirm if the looks like if the providers or seekers go through a criminal background check, and this person is from a home care agency, so they understand, you know, their caregivers go through a certain process. So just looking at how it might be different in regards to TB tests, COVID vaccine trainings, etc.
Yeah, so so every home provider, home seeker will go through an in-person interview with one of the coordinators. In addition, the home provider, their interview will happen in the home so that the coordinator can also do a home safety check as well to make sure the home is eligible and kind of up to code so that we can have a home seeker go in there. And then we do background checks, which is does have the criminal background check, checks the sex offender registry. And so that we do run that on every single participant. We also do the reference checks, like Alyssa mentioned, and the medical check as well. So we take all of that into account. I'm trying to, I think I'm missing the second half of that question.
I think the only other part was their program requires like TB tests and COVID vaccines and that type of.
Yeah, so our medical check is, it's pretty brief. We don't go too far into depth with the medical provider. In terms of COVID and other checks, we don't check for vaccination, although we do have folks sign off on our COVID policy, and we do kind of, as we're enrolling folks, we do ask them how they feel about living with someone who is unvaccinated or vaccinated, and we encourage them to have that discussion with each other. Most of the communication, you know, once the people are matched, are between the home seeker and the home provider. So we try and foster that as early on as possible. So we do provide them with some topics we think are important to talk about, and we ask that they kind of keep that in mind when they're meeting with each other, and kind of vaccination status and those questions is part of that. So we encourage that conversation between the two of them.
Great, thank you. There was one question, just a clarification on the minimum age of one of the parties. So it's anybody 18 and over can apply for the program, and one person in each match would be over the age of 60. So just to clarify that. And it doesn't look like there's any other questions yet. So I'm going to move forward a slide, and if there's anything else that comes up, I'll stop and do that. But I did just want to mention we have another webinar that will be taking place in the new year in partnership with Alzheimer's San Diego, and the topic will be on long distance caregiving. We thought that would be relevant because over the holidays, a lot of times people visit their loved ones and maybe haven't seen them for a while, and new things come up. So that might be helpful to understand how to help from a distance if you don't live in the same area. And then I'll leave it up on this screen for the last few minutes, just so that you can take a look at how to contact ElderHelp if you have any questions about any of our programs. You are welcome to call our main phone number that's there on the screen, or send us an email through info@elderhelpofsandiego.org. For any HomeShare inquiries, or if you're interested in applying for the program as a home seeker or a provider, or know somebody that might be, you can visit our website, elderhelpofsandiego.org, and you'll see a tab at the top that says Solutions for Living, and one of the options under that is Housing Services. And that's where you'll get access to all of that information about HomeShare and to complete the application right on that page. If you do want to sign up to receive automatically information about our upcoming webinars, that would be something that I can help you with. So you're welcome to respond to the email that I send you after this webinar with the recorded link so that you can sign up for any future webinar topics. And our website in general has more information about all of our programs. If you're interested in getting involved as a volunteer, or again, know somebody that might benefit from any of our services, you're welcome to refer them directly to our website to get all of those details. So I don't see any other questions coming in, so I think we are going to end it for today. But again, Robin and Alyssa, thank you so much for sharing your time and your expertise and all of the information about HomeShare. And for all of you who are participating today, we thank you for being here, and we hope that this information was helpful. And I'll be sending a follow-up email with the link to the recorded version for you a little bit later today. So thank you all so much, and I hope you stay safe and healthy and have a good rest of 2022. Thank you.